chat. So I found you, JD. I found you online, and people talk about all the time the ills of the internet, and there are many, right?
Yes,
But
yes.
there are people, and I am one of them. So I think it's why I really resonated so much with your content. And clearly, by the number of people that follow you, there are a lot of people like us that resonate with your content, millions of
Mm.
people that follow you. But you're using your platform for good. You're using your platform to encourage people to get involved, to call things out. Where did that start? Where, even in your earliest days, and we'll get into who you are and what you do, but like your earliest days, because you're an advocate. I mean, when do you remember first being an advocate, my friend?
Wow. Rachel, it's such a weird feeling. As my platform grows, it's a mixed feeling of I'm growing and that's great, but oh my God, I didn't know so many people could relate to this.
Yeah,
It's like a double-edged sword of there's millions of women in specific that can relate to my mother's story.
yeah.
And I've been sharing my mother's story for years now, and I just remember thinking, I want to share her story. I want to honor her. She passed away in 2011, and I always looked up to my mother. I always thought she was like a superhero. I mean, she did everything by herself, never asked for a dime, went through a lot of abuse, a lot of different
Mm,
forms of abuse
mm,
from her childhood and from what I know of her childhood anyway, and also in her adulthood. And I witnessed some of it with
mm.
certain men. And I just always thought she was so kind, she was so giving, she was so unconditionally loving to her two boys. I'm her youngest son.
Mhm.
The opposite of what she dealt with, she gave to us. And I just thought, oh my God, like, how were you able to do that? So,
Mhm.
anyway, when she passed away, it was actually my therapist that recommended me telling her story. I was having a really hard time with her passing. And Brooke, my therapist, shout out to her, was like, why don't you share her story a little bit? Maybe you can help a couple people. And I
Yeah.
thought, you know what? Yeah, even if one woman doesn't feel alone anymore or can resonate just a bit with her story, I
Mhm.
had no idea, Rachel, that again, this would be global. This would be, I didn't know the sheer amount of single mothers,
Yeah.
never mind the amount that have been through abuse and horrible co parenting or no co parenting and doing everything alone, married single moms that are technically married but still doing everything by themselves, women that have gone through emotional abuse, physical abuse. Like, I had no idea. So I was just as shocked as anybody else. But then I early on instantly thought, I have a platform now. I can do something with this. I could do something really good with this. So anyway, that started around 5 years ago. I've been going 5 years now. And again, it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's a weird place to be in where I love to grow because then obviously I'm a content creator and this is my livelihood.
Yeah.
But at the same time, every single new follower means another woman who can relate
Yeah.
to. But I also talked to my therapist about that because I used to feel really bad about it. And she said, well, they already exist. It doesn't matter whether or not you're doing this. So they might as well find you maybe and then can relate. And I'm just the messenger. I don't take credit for any of this. The community is really the ones that help each other out. I feel like I'm just the messenger of
Mm.
being the son of a single mom. And I'm so honored to be able to have a seat at the table, I guess, as a man who will never understand what you guys go through as women in general, but never mind single moms. I'm like,
Yeah.
you want me to speak for you?
Yeah.
I'm all in. I love it. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
anyway, that's a long answer. I hope I answered that for you.
No, you did. And there's so much to unpack there. Like, first of all, I think I'm noticing this. And as a speaker, former sportscaster and speaker, for anybody that sees this on your platform and doesn't know who I am, former national sportscaster and speaker. And, one of the things I'm noticing as I go about the country and talk to people, and I think I might be onto something, and I could be dead wrong, but I think I'm right, is that first of all, people are really at this moment in life really drawn to authenticity. And fake is like people are just they're over it. They're the overconsumption, the being tied to social, just that like people are craving connection and real and authentic. And one of the things I love about you is you just tell it like it is. You are not worried about this or that or coming off what you just tell it. And I think that is part of why you have millions of followers and millions of people relate to you because you are just 1000% yourself, JD.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, you know what? I try to mix some humor in such heavy conversation. To my
Yeah.
mother, she was so funny, like the funniest person I knew. We would crack up, literally, Rachel, for hours over the dumbest. Can I curse on this?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, sorry. Over the dumbest shit. Like we would just crack up laughing. She was such a person of like, I don't want to, we're not going to wallow in this for too long.
Yeah.
It's okay to cry and it's okay to feel how we're feeling, but we're also going to get up and we're going to keep it moving. And so I learned that from her as well. So I
Mm.
talk a lot about such heavy things that so many people can relate to. Some of it's very triggering. I try to be conscious of that too, that a lot of what I'm talking about can trigger someone in a moment. So
Mm.
but anyway, I try to slip in some humor in there, like throw on a wig and be ridiculous with the video. So, because I get a lot of women that say, thank you for making me laugh. Like, I really appreciate that. I'm going through so much and I needed a laugh for a moment. So, but about keeping it real, I know for me as the viewer, I can't stand the fakeness either. I can't stand the overconsumption. I actually was just talking about this the other day about a lot of influencers that keep shoving products in our face over and over and over and over again. And it's like, oh my God, how many links can you share with us? How many, like, and I'm not a saint for this, but I want to share this. There's so many deals and brand deals that I turn down just because, first of all, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Why would I, like it has to make sense with my audience and it has to be helpful and useful to them and something that I enjoy. But also, nobody wants to watch content and just be sold every single day. Now, with that being said, Rachel, this is my livelihood and I understand, make your coin. Like I
Yeah.
get that from this side as well. Like as an influencer or whatever we want to call this, I get it. Like it's your job, but you know, just the overconsumption, like you said, the constant, like it's just I can't. And also, yes, being fake, and that comes with overconsumption too.
Mm.
Recommending things that you've never even tried or haven't
Yeah.
tried for a week,
Yeah.
and I can't. It turns me off. So anyway, I don't know. I guess any other way to be me. I thought that my message would come across. It's polarizing. It's a lot for people to hear about how many single moms are going through this.
Mhm.
I don't talk about single dads. I get a little bit of flack for that, but
Mhm.
this is a channel in honor of single moms and women. If you want to hear about amazing single dads, which there are, by the way,
Yeah.
there's plenty of channels for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get a lot of comments too that say, well, there's awful moms out there. Yeah, there are. And what's your point? I'm here to talk about the amazing single moms,
Yeah.
15 million in the United States alone, globally, times that by 20. I'm here to talk about that. If that's something you can relate to or want to hear, let's go. I'm in. And if
Yeah.
not, swipe away. That's okay. Not
Yeah.
Listen. Not everybody is for everybody, and that's okay.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah,
I say that all the time. I'm like, look, I spent half my life not loving me, first of all, and I teach people that. And until I I was looking for everything in the world, substances, people, things to fill me up. But the container of my soul, the teacup of my soul was broken. I didn't love myself, right? And so I've been on this real huge journey and writing books and speaking about loving myself. And so I've gotten to this point very much like what you just said, where if I'm not for you, I'm not for you. That's okay. I know who I am. I love myself enough to know I need therapy. I need to say I'm sorry.
look,
I
yeah,
mess up. You know what I
yep,
mean? But
yeah.
if I'm not for you and I'm not your cup of tea, and I love that you said that because I feel like that's where we lose a lot of times who we are in this crazy world by trying to be everybody's cup of tea.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it took me like 40 years to really be comfortable. I'm 40 years old now.
Mm.
I'm finally comfortable in my own skin. I think a lot of people maybe wouldn't think that. A lot of times you see people online and you can I don't know what the perception of me is, but I'm really honest about I've had addiction problems. 10 years I was addicted to opiates. Baby, girl, like, and I want to say this too. I just want to put this out there.
Yeah.
I We don't know much about each other. Like I
Yeah.
came on here and I love the fact that like I'm learning about you and a lot of what you're saying I'm connecting to,
Yes.
because same here, like I would fill that void, especially after my mother's death, but
Mm.
even before that, she was plagued with the disease of addiction. That's how she
Mm.
lost her life, an accidental overdose of fentanyl, which not enough people talk about. And shortly after that, I became very addicted to opiates.
Mm.
I accidentally got into them, which a lot of people don't talk about. You get into an accident or something happens, a
Yep.
doctor is very quick, or they weren't used to anyway, I
Yep.
don't know about now, to
Yep.
hand you a bunch of pills and be like,
Yep.
here. Well, when you are going through sadness or you're not fully equipped to handle things, that's a really easy way to escape. And I had no idea. I got addicted immediately. Then I would
Mhm.
run out of the pills. Then I would start to look for other ways. And before I
Mhm.
knew it, I was a full blown heroin addict.
Yeah.
And I I overdosed, almost lost my life. And at that point, I was like, okay, so I can either be here and do this the right way and honor my mother in the right way and really start to work on myself, or I could pass away the same way she did and a lot of other people in
Mm.
my family. And then it's all for shit. Like, what was the
Yeah.
point of all this? So, and that takes a lot of time and work. Like, it's not easy.
Mhm.
But I also try to talk about that I share a lot of funny things sometimes, but there's a lot of heaviness to my mother's story, to all of our stories.
Mhm.
And I'm not a moral compass for anybody. I'm not perfect. Like, I'm not claiming to be perfect. We all make mistakes. We all
Yeah.
fall down. But what I try to do and recognize is I am flawed just like everybody else and learn from that shit. When I
Mhm.
talk about deadbeats in specific, I'm talking about the specific men that don't learn from the mistakes, that don't try to make an effort, that continue to abuse over and over and over again. Like, I'm talking about the specific bad men. There's a lot of good. I'm gay. I love men. Like, I'm not a man hater. Like, girl, I love the, like, you know what I mean? But I also recognize that the world, we all can relate so much more to each
Mhm.
other than not. And if we just listened a little bit more and reflected a little bit more and, like you said, loved ourselves a
Mhm.
bit more, like,
Yes.
all of that starts to make sense of, like, oh God, we're all just human in this human experience
Mhm.
trying to get through the best way we can.
I want to circle back to the addiction conversation. Actually, let me just stay here right now. I myself also was a 10-year cocaine addict and started as fun and then all of a sudden you wake up, you feel like all of a sudden you wake up and you're like a full-blown addict, and I was where I got to was I was selling it to support my habit. And I was like, oh my gosh, now I'm contributing to the delinquency of other people. Like, this is like, I am in deep. I'm not only about to kill myself, but I can also kill other people. So I think, and I'm very open about this. And again, I think this is why our souls align so much. Like you have always said, I'm not perfect. I am just willing to show you my junk. I say in my movement, I'll take off my mask and show you my vulnerable, my ugly, my not so pretty, my scarred, in hopes that you can learn something from my story. And, do I enjoy going around talking about my addiction, how it hurt people and myself? Heck no, right? But I know it helps people and I know it helps people get set free. And what I think you did, which was so phenomenal, amazing, there's not a word to describe it, is when you had that moment of clarity where you said, I can either die like my mother or I can choose different. I call it bitter or better. So many things happen to people and we get tired, we get sad, we get whatever it is, right? And we just stay on that road. And you could have just said, you know what? It happened to my mother and it's happened to me. But you chose better. You chose a better life for yourself. You chose what your mama, is her name Sandy?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
thank you for
chose
knowing
what,
that.
yeah, you chose what Sandy, and my mom's also gone. She's in heaven. And so we'll see
Oh, I'm
them again
sorry.
one day. Yeah.
Yes, we will.
And so you chose what your mama wants for you. And so the other
Mm.
day, actually yesterday, so side note, I've known this forever, but there's a Harvard study that just came out that said our brain it is basically confirming everything we know, but our brain believes what we tell it. So if you tell yourself you're fat, sick, stupid, ugly, loser, broke, your brain believes that. Your body believes that. Your cells believe it. If you tell it, good girl, good JD, good Rachel, good listener, whatever your name
Right.
is, sub it in there. I'm smart. I'm healing. I may not be where I want to be, but I'm on the way. And so yesterday, I was just chugging along, getting work done, doing these and work I love and loving my kids and doing these things. And I was
Yeah.
like, Rachel, you doing a good job, girl. You doing a good.
Yeah.
And I started talking to myself like I think my mama would talk to me. I know she's still
Yeah.
whispering in my ear. And so I just want to say your mama, Sandy, is so proud of you for making that decision to live, JD,
Oh,
and
thank you,
not go
Rachel.
down the
That means a
road
lot
that
to me.
she did.
That means a lot to me. Thank you for saying that. I found that self-talk is powerful.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. And sometimes you don't even realize what you're saying to yourself over and over and over again. And it's like, would I say this to someone I loved? Would I say this to my mother? Would my mother say this to me? No. And
Yeah.
working on that is so powerful. And actually I found a letter from her the other day. I was like rummaging through stuff, and it was just like this beautiful letter that she had written to me. She always wrote letters. And she had the most beautiful handwriting. And anyway, it was just this beautiful letter of how proud she was of me. And
Mhm.
I put it on my fridge
Yes.
because I felt like, you know what? I want to remind myself when I'm in, one of those days where I'm just hard on myself or down on myself, like we all are sometimes.
Mhm.
I want to remind myself of the things my mother used to say to me while she was on this earth so
Mhm.
that I can repeat that to myself, because there is a power in telling yourself that you are good and you are worthy.
Yes.
And, and I believe in God very much too. And I believe in Jesus. And my mother was very, very faithful as well. And, I remind myself too that I am God's child, and
Yes.
we have all made mistakes, and I can continue to be hard on myself and hate on myself. What good does that do? And on top of it, I am very proud of myself from what I've been able to overcome. And if we can't share the things that we messed up with, Rachel, and if we can't
Yes.
share our experiences, especially that we do have a platform and people are listening, what's the point? What's the point in any of it? In my opinion, I'd
Yes.
rather be able to help somebody, even if it's one person, go, oh
Yes.
my gosh, you know what? Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Now I feel a little bit less hard on myself, or I could do this now because I feel like something that you said resonated. So, yeah, I feel like I'm still working on the self talk. I feel like I'll probably be working on that forever,
Yeah,
but
me too.
I'm getting better. Yes, but I do what you do. Sometimes I go, you know what? I'm going to just really, I am awesome.
Yes.
I am working really hard. I'm proud of myself for
Yes.
whatever, ABC. And I have to remind myself of that because, again, the self talk, you don't even realize sometimes how negative that self talk can be in your brain. And you're right. If you're telling your brain and feeding your brain that you're bad and you're wrong and you're awful,
Yep.
well, it believes it. So now
Yep.
we all believe that.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so you posted something the other day, and you've posted a lot of things that resonate with me, and here's another thing. I teach my followers this, and through my book, I'm working on my second book, and then talks and training. Like, be audacious. I call it your audacious hour. So pick 5 things this week to be audacious about. I started following you. You have 1 million followers. And I just reached out and sent a DM, and I was like, maybe he's interested. And you're like, yeah, you and your amazing
Yes.
team are like, yeah, let's do it. And
Yeah.
so be audacious this week. But you posted something, we were talking about it earlier, and it kind of goes along this idea of overconsumption. And so I've been having this conversation with people lately, and there's a book called Under the Tuscan Sun, and the author's name, her first name is Frances. And this was a while back, and she had posted about
I
going on
love
it.
that book,
I
by
know,
the
I love
way.
it.
And I love the movie.
I
Sorry
love
to
it.
interrupt you. I
Right.
love
No,
both.
no,
Yes.
no, no, you're
Yep.
good. And interrupt whenever you want. And so somebody posted on her tweet, must be nice. And it just rubbed me the wrong way. Look, we are all having a human experience. And if you can go to Italy, I am so happy for you. There is
Yep.
nothing but jealousy. The must be nice crowd is the jelly crowd. Like, they're
Yep.
jealous and it's ugly and it's not nice. However, I think there's another kind of layer of this conversation, and that is you can do wonderful for yourself. You can do all of those things. And there can be the spirit of just sharing your Nile cruise like she was. She wasn't doing anything wrong. But there are people out there that are throwing their overconsumption and their wealth and their privilege in your face. And frankly, it's gross. It's
Mhm.
such a turnoff. Oh, it's such a turnoff. And I want everybody to do well. I want everybody to come up out of off of food stamps. My mom, we were on food stamps when I was younger. We lived in trailers when I
Yep.
was younger, and I'm not ashamed of those things. I want
Yep.
everybody to do well for themselves, but I also recognize that times are tough for people, right? So
Yep.
you go with that wherever you want. There's a lot of points to that conversation, but man, I've been feeling that lately, and you've been posting on it, and it hit me right in the heart.
I know the exact post you're talking
Yeah,
about, and
yeah,
we can get into it. Yeah,
yeah,
I won't name it, but you
yeah,
can see on my page an influencer who often continues to post these really, really expensive bags in her mansion, and just overconsumption things.
yeah,
And I'm like you, I want you to get the mansion. I want you to be financially independent. I talk
yeah,
to women all the time about how important that is, especially women, in my opinion. So,
yeah.
and this influencer has been on social media for many, many years, and
Mhm.
she is all the things that I want for everybody. But
Yep.
with that being said, there is a time and a place for bragging, in my opinion, and shoving things in everyone's face when the economy is terrible right now and people are having to put back their groceries
Yes.
because they can't afford it, and they're having to put water in their shampoo and shake it up because they can't afford to get another bottle, and cutting their toothpaste
Yep.
bottles open. And I grew up, we were homeless 3 times. My mother was a waitress. She walked to and from work every single day. It's not to say that just because there's people struggling that you can't enjoy your success. That's not the
Right.
point.
Right.
Please enjoy your success. Do everything do whatever you want with your money. But at the same time, let's not be tone deaf.
Yeah.
Let's not be ignorant to what's happening in the world. Let's just read the room a bit. And
Yes.
yeah, and I had just specifically, and I don't even follow that specific creator, but her videos just kept coming up over and over and over again with the overconsumption, the 75 bronzers that you don't even need, the shoes that you maybe have worn once that are filling your closet up.
Hmm.
Again, good for you. This person happens to be super wealthy now, but the overconsumption and just the making people feel bad,
Mm.
it's not my vibe. And I think that's what happens when you constantly shove overpriced items that you have 75,000 of over and over again in people's faces. That's not someone who's proud of their success that wants to share their success. That's someone who makes you feel bad after you watch their videos. That's someone who makes you feel like you don't have enough. And let me say this too, I'm not a hater, because I do well myself. It's not
Yeah.
about being jealous or hating on that. It's about why. What's the reasoning for doing that? What's happening right now in this country and in this world. And if not, turn on the TV and just watch 10 minutes of the news. 80% or more of the population right now is struggling hard,
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
And I feel like, Rachel, there's not even a middle class anymore. I feel like you're either doing well or you're really not. And both of us, me and you, have really not been okay financially, grew
Yep.
up with no money,
Yep.
have really struggled, know what that life looks like.
Yep.
And right now, it's nice to not be in that specific zone. I
Yep.
mean, I don't think either one of us are like balling in a mansion,
Yeah.
but we're doing okay and it feels great. I don't need to be balling in a mansion. At the same time, I remember where I came from.
Hmm.
And this specific creator that I was talking about also came from nothing. And I think sometimes it's important to remember that and
Yeah.
to, again, just like, let's read the room just a bit. Like you said, there was that person that was, I think in Italy, you said, and
Yeah.
someone said, must be nice. That's straight up jelly and hating. Like, that's ridiculous. But there's a limit, there's a time and a place. And again, people are sick of the overconsumption and being
Yep.
sold left and right. And when every single one of your videos is you selling me something,
Yeah.
you become QVC, I become uninterested. And it's a shame too, because that specific creator, in my opinion, is very talented,
Yeah.
deserves to be where she's at, has
Yeah.
done it. Like, go back to your roots, girl, and show
Yeah.
us a great tutorial. And she was asking where her followers have gone. They're sick of the being sold every 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a balance. There's a balance, right? Of read the room, and also you could be proud, of course, of yourself. I'm
Absolutely.
proud of you.
Yes, and ditto. And I know you're like this, just in watching your stuff and now talking to you and getting to know you. Like, I want people when I never want, let me start saying this. I never want somebody to put one of my videos down and go, ugh, I hate my life, or I need something, or this is not good enough, or this is not pretty. I want to inspire people. I want to encourage people. I want to encourage people to look inward. I want to encourage people to love themselves. I don't want people to go, I hate myself. I hate my life. I need to go buy this or buy that or to be this and I think it's some people are not heart centered motivated, but that happens when we're watching this. And I honestly, it's what we started the podcast talking about. There is a movement of people that are just sick of it. They're
Yep.
sick of it. They're sick of the 27 products in your bathroom that you're showing and the plastic and so and I even read something the other day that there's like a rise of like granny hobbies. Like people are like canning,
Oh,
they're knitting, they're like book clubs. They're just like
yeah.
getting back to like very simple things. And so I just appreciate, while I know the kind of direction of your channel, I just appreciated the fact that you're not scared, I should say, to go out on a limb and call out something like that, because that does make so many people feel bad about their actual lives.
It does. And when you know how many, and this person is 10 times more, has 10 times more of a platform than me. So you have a lot of eyes on you. A lot
Yeah.
of people are watching what you're doing and saying, what do you think they feel like when you do that constantly over and over again? What do you think that does for people?
Mhm.
Like, again, do they leave feeling inspired? because this person could really inspire specifically women, which
Yes.
I love that. I'm all about that. I'm so pro woman. If you can't tell, I grew up with a single mom. There's 13 single moms in my family alone.
Oh,
I'm so like, get it, girl. Please get your bag. Be financially independent. Don't rely on a man. But again, yeah, how do you think that makes people feel? Not good. It doesn't make me feel good. And again, I'm not hating. I
yeah.
could get the bags if I want. I don't want the bags. And again, with the how many bronzers, how many foundations does somebody need? If you and that this person's a makeup social media influencer, she gets a bunch of PR. But I'm saying you're selling 75 of them to people, and then you're trying to make people feel like they need all of these. You need the dewy one, And I by the way, I love makeup. I do makeup. I'm a makeup artist as well.
Love
So
it.
I love me makeup. But again, I don't need 90 different concealers. I got two that'll work just fine. And so that was, I think, you remember like the 2015, 16 makeup beauty era where like
Yes.
everybody was just people are over it. I think people are over that type of content.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not scared. And I think I'm very much like you in the sense of I got to keep it real. I don't know any other way to be. I got to keep
Amen.
it real, and I got to call it like I see it. And I hope it doesn't offend. I hope I hope people understand. And I bet you're like this too. I always hope that people understand where my heart is, because
Yes.
messages can
Yeah.
sometimes come across the wrong way. And it's happened to me before. And
Hmm.
it's like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. And
Yeah.
I reflect and go, I'm so sorry. So anyway, I think a lot of people, I read the comments and a lot of people felt the same exact way.
Hmm.
And someone needs to say it. One of us has to say it once in a while.
I appreciate that. So one and just a few more questions. I won't keep you much longer, but and we'll have to do this again, by the way, because this is just
I'm
it's
having such
awesome.
a
I
great
know.
conversation. Yes, I love it. I love it.
Okay.
We have a lot
So
in common.
I know. So you're a healer, and if you don't know that, I'm a peopleologist. I study people. That's what I do after being a sportscaster for many years. But you're a healer, and that's your platform, and that's what you do. You may be a content creator, but in your soul, you're a healer. And being a healer, I'm also a healer. I've been told over and over again the same thing, and it's the greatest compliment. And it's that within seconds of meeting you, I feel safe to tell you my entire life. And
Wow.
that is like the ultimate compliment, if anything you could ever tell me, and
Mm,
and because look, beauty fades, but a beautiful dope soul doesn't, and
that's right.
so you said something earlier about having all of these people share their stuff with you. And you've probably talked about this in therapy because I've talked about it with my therapist. And I want to speak to all the healers right now, all the people that are on the front lines, educators, first responders, doctors, moms, dads, whoever you are, you identify as a healer, okay? And you're
Hmm.
trying to
Hmm.
heal this land. You have to learn to take care of yourself. And boundaries are the greatest form of soul care. I call it deeper than self-love, soul care. And so I was so encouraged to hear you kind of talk about, and if you will, just a little bit more, that understanding of the totality, the heaviness of that, right? But also understanding how to manage it. At first, when I did what I do for the last 9 years, speak at schools and colleges and high schools and prisons and all these places, and people would tell me their stuff, JD, like I have thousands of people's secrets in my soul in this vault.
Right.
At first I didn't know how to manage it, and it would wear me out, and I would take it out, and now I have beautiful boundaries around that, where I say somebody might say want to talk, and I said, look, if I know I don't have the capacity to do that, I'll say, is this life or death? And they'll say no.
Mm,
Well, can we talk tomorrow? Is that okay? If it is, we're
right.
going to get you some help. We've done that, and people are alive because of that. But
Mm,
I think there's something that you need to, I'd like for you to share, because you
mm.
are also a healer, and it sounds like you've been doing some work and been on a journey in that regard too. And I know that you can speak to people's souls.
I want to say too, Rachel, I'm so excited to read your books.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much that I can learn from you.
Yes. Yes.
And again, we've just met, and I feel like there's so much that you're saying that resonates because,
Mm.
yes, that did happen to me in the very beginning for like the first 2 years. You're taking in all of these stories, you're listening to all of these people
Hmm.
and hearing these traumatic events in their life because they
Hmm.
want to open up. And that's what
Yes.
I want them to do too. That's the point of all this. And yes, you wait. I am an empath. I feel
Mhm.
everything. I feel energy. I'm very much like my
Yes.
mother. I'm sensitive.
Mhm. Yes.
Um, and yes, I didn't even realize how much of a toll it was taking. And actually, it wasn't my therapist. It was somebody that also talks about similar things that I do online. And she said to me, makes very much what you just said, make sure that you're taking time for yourself, that you are understanding that you need to recoup. I need to re-energize if I really want to be present.
Yeah.
And I was burning both ends of the stick when I was constantly in one-on-ones with women over and over and over and over again.
Mhm.
I'm not a psychiatrist. I always tell people that, like, if you're
Mhm.
looking for, lawyers or, medical help, that's not me. But if you want someone to talk to, and most of the time they just want to talk, they don't even want you to talk back. They want someone to listen and
Yep.
to really hear
Yep.
them. And I do. Yes, and it did. It started to be, and I didn't even realize it. And so now I do make sure that if I can't be present, like you said, is it life or death? Like if I can't handle another full conversation where we're
Yes.
really going deep, because it's always going to be deep, especially with my content. If a
Yeah.
woman wants to share their story, I just need to make sure that I'm good to take it
Mhm.
all in, because again, you feel everything.
Yep.
Um, I turn my phone off or on silent after 11. Whatever happens between 11 at night and 7 in the morning, it's none of my
Good for you.
business.
Good for
I don't
you.
have kids, so I can do that, right? I
Yep.
don't have children, but I do. I take time for myself. I love to read. I
Yeah.
really make sure, and I also don't consume a lot of content as a viewer as much as maybe people would think. I do once in a while, but I'm not on the apps for hours and hours and hours. I really enjoy just not having to see things constantly
Yeah.
because I'm online a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a whole, we could do a whole like conversation just on that alone, because like you said, and I would love to hear more about a healer. What does that mean exactly? Does that mean like you're just trying, I would love to, I don't even know that term.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm big into history. So like back in like either Native American days or even before that, or just different periods of time, they were traditionally people were called healers. They might be called shamans. They might be called healers. They might be called medicine men. I feel like we have healers in this day and age, and there is a reason why so many people are drawn to you. You are an empath. I think another word, a synonym of empath might be healer. And it's why people are drawn to people like us. Like it's no coincidence that I get told that over and over and over again. So that is a gift, like you have learned, that you have to manage. And
Mm,
I don't want to ever stop it. I'll
right.
go do a talk, and for example, I'll go to talk at a college, and I will stay until the very last person wants to talk. And oftentimes, and I never take this for granted, JD, there'll be 20 people, 10 people, 5 people, it doesn't matter the number,
Right.
waiting just a one-on-one talk. And they will weep and I will weep. And I've
Mm,
had some like administrators before say, "Can we take you out to dinner?" And I'm like, no, like I just need to go sit in a dark room. Like
right.
I need
Yep.
to, I've gotten out before and gotten my rental car, just laid my head on the steering wheel and just cried
Mm,
because the weight of
yep.
people's stories, like,
Yep.
and I don't want that to be ordinary. I never want that to be ordinary. And what strikes me about you, because I can read people much like yourself, like it, the moment that it becomes ordinary or, oh, I got to talk to that person, I'm out, dude. I need to go find
Right.
like another thing to do because
That's
I'm
right.
not in my calling anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I always say, thank God this is what I speak about. Because if
Yeah.
I was talking about something as far as like overconsumption or something that
Yeah.
really wasn't meaningful, I'd be burnt out. And I need to, yeah, you're right. And what a privilege, you're right, for people to want to open up. What a
Yes.
privilege to say, can I tell you my story? I'd love to share a little bit about me. I can relate to your mom, or I can relate. What an honor. Like, oh my
Yes.
gosh. And I never take that for granted. And I feel like that is from God. And
Yeah.
I've always been like, ever since a little boy, my mom always used to say that I used to say, my first words were, I'll help you. Like I would go around the room and say, I'll help you. Or like if somebody was tying their shoes, I'll help you. And I feel like I get a lot of, I always say anything good that you like about me, it's from my mom. And then I joke and say anything bad you don't like about me, it's from my father. It's more of a joke. But I feel like any of the positive things, if I could have half the heart my mom had, I feel like I'll be doing good in life. But yes, you're right. It is. And if you really want to be able to listen and take it all in, you do need to be able to take a moment. And I don't think a lot of people realize some of us are introverts. I am one. I love my alone time.
Me
I'm
too.
not big. Yes. And people don't, I would never think that. Well, I actually am not surprised to hear that about you, because
Yeah.
am an introvert. I love my alone time. A lot of people, I'm not a big, like, put me in the middle of a party like that.
Yeah.
I'm really not, actually. So, it can be overwhelming, and it can be anxiety driven. But again, what a privilege. I never want that to stop, if I can just sit here and listen to you and that can somehow be a bit healing for you, or that could
Mm,
be a bit helpful, I'm in. Please, let's
mm,
go.
mm.
Again, though, after that, I need a moment. And
Yeah.
I deserve that moment, and I'm going to take
Yes.
that moment so that I can be present again. They always say with like being a parent, I don't know the exact term. I think it's called like a helicopter mom or something, like
Yes.
save
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
right? Before you, I feel in a very different sense, right? Because being a mom, that's the, I couldn't, I don't know how moms do mom,
Yeah.
but I do feel like, again, it's the same idea of like, I need to make sure I'm healthy and good and my head's cleared and
Yes.
I'm okay. And I'm not, before I can take on another one.
Yeah.
So, and I love that you go around and you teach and you share and you go to different places. I just went to a woman's shelter, and I think, again, with that comment that I made, that post I made about that creator and the overconsumption, I had just come from a woman's shelter not long before that and seeing women on bunk beds with their children, sharing the same bed with two
Mhm.
kids, having to share a bathroom with 30 women,
Mhm.
having not a dollar to their name, trying to get out. These are women that are trying, by the way.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
think that because you might be on food stamps or in a shelter that you're not trying. No, you don't know what this person's story is.
Yep.
These people are busting their ass trying
Yep.
to get ahead, trying to
Yep.
get out of the shelter. It has
Yep.
nothing to do with effort.
Yep.
Any one of us, I always feel like any one of us are just a step away from that.
Yes. Yes.
When you come from where you and I come from,
Yep.
we don't ever lose the fact that I'm just a moment away. I could be there. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't ever leave my brain. So anyway, it was weighing on my mind when I had
Mm,
seen again another video of just the
mm,
overconsumption. And it's like, again, baby, go visit just a women's shelter once or a food bank, or
mm,
again, turn on the news and realize what majority of the population is
mhm.
actually going through.
Amen.
And it's a struggle.
It is. And so this podcast will come out either right after Christmas or the very beginning of the new year. And so one of the things I'm always teaching in my podcast, and one of the things I want you to take from JD talking about his mom Sandy and my mom Georgia, Gigi, is
Mm,
please talk about your loved ones. Please tell their stories. Please, like the thing we were talking about earlier, stinking, my mom used to call it stinking thinking. And I used to call her, she's been gone 6 years now. And I used to call her and say, I'm so sick. I'm this, I'm that. She said, Stop that. She said, You might not
mm.
be feeling well, but you're healing. You may not be
Yeah,
have your husband today or met him, but you're one step closer. She was like, When you talk all that negative junk, you're giving the devil his due. And I'm like, Whoo. And I too was the apple of my mom's eye. I have two brothers that were also the apple in their own way, but I
yeah,
was her only daughter, and she just had this like a lot like your mom. They're probably up there right now hugging each other in heaven. Just
yep,
tremendous, like very few people didn't like her. She just had this humongous, extraordinary personality where she just loved everybody she came in contact with. And
mm,
so I my mom having been gone and yours for a little bit too, and I want to speak to everybody who's dealing with grief. Please keep talking about them, because one of the hardest parts of grief that people don't talk about is when those memories start to slip
yep.
and the smells and the memories, and you're like, okay, okay, wait a minute. So write it down, take videos, talk about your people, like that's the way we keep them alive, JD.
That's right. Yep. Keep their story alive, keep their memory alive. That's hard sometimes in the beginning when you lose
Yeah.
someone, right? Because every time you talk about them or think about them, it's hard, but it's healing. And I don't believe in coincidences, Rachel. And I feel like Gigi and Sandy set this up.
Yes,
I
they
really
did.
do, because they knew that this would be, first of all, I would just want to say thank you for just such a great, honest, real
Yeah.
conversation. I purposely didn't want to say too much or give you too much background because I
I,
just wanted to be organic. And I really appreciate, I would love to do this again because it was a
yes.
really, you and I could probably go on for
Yeah.
another 6 hours because we have a lot in common. And
Yeah.
your spirit is, if you're anything, if your mom, I can see and know what your mom was like by just speaking to you. And I hope that, you can feel a little bit about Sandy, because we are
Yeah.
the apple of their eye. We are still here for a
Yes.
reason, Rachel. And
Yeah.
we are here to share their story and also our story
Yes.
too, right? Like it's both mixed in. And I'm really honored to that you reached out. I really appreciate this because I do a lot of different talks and I talk to a lot of different people. This was really just honest and authentic. And again, we could go on for, we're gonna have to do this again. I
I know.
really, I enjoyed this conversation, and I totally agree with talk about your loved ones that are no longer here. Honor their memory, honor their life. and you never know who you'll help by doing that.
Yeah. So, last question. All of his information will be in the show notes. Please go follow him. Tell him you found him through me, or share these clips, do all the things. But if there's a lot of people in my orbit who have heard me speak or are decision makers at events and that can bring other people in. Is that something that you want to do more of? Is the speaking,
Absolutely.
public speaking?
Oh yeah, and I try to do it as much as I can. Like, if I'm on some type of panel or whatever, and I'm always honored because sometimes it's with real professionals that like our lawyers or Congress, and I'm like, you want me, the guy that wears the wigs that runs around the house like a lunatic? Yeah, I'm honored. Let's do it. And I think again, maybe I can bring a bit more of the realness to the conversation or whatever people feel like I can add.
Yeah.
I'm in. Again, if I can help in some way, I'm so honored. What a privilege to
Yeah.
to be able to say yes. So absolutely. Yes.
All right,
For
my
sure.
friends.
Thank you.
It has been amazing. We will do this
Amazing.
again. Merry Christmas to you, and thank you
Merry Christmas.
so, so
Happy
much.
holidays.
Oh my
Thank you
gosh.
again, Rachel. I
Okay.
appreciate it so
We'll
much.
be in touch. Take care.